Reacher Season 1 is the first season of a new show on Amazon Prime. It is based off The Killing Floor by Lee Child, a series of action thriller novels that I've actually read most of. There's more than 20 of them. I've read all of them up to Blue Moon. So I'm a huge fan of the books. They're very pulpy, simple action thrillers. Not all of them are good, but most of the time it's, if you're unfamiliar, Jack Reacher is an ex-military cop who is retired, and he wants to see America because he's always stationed in Germany or other places on military bases. He never got to see America, so you'd like to just go. He doesn't have a house. He's kind of a hobo, walks around with a toothbrush and like a wad of cash and a passport, nothing else, just to go places. And he decides to go to Margrave, Georgia, because it's the hometown of a blues musician he likes, and he ends up arrested for murder. And that's the plot of the first book, which they adapt really well. But they obviously also updated it for modern audiences. Killing Floor came out many years ago. It's a bit dated. Some of the dialogue sequences in that movie or in that book are a little bit outdated, so they changed things for the show. But they also improved on Reacher as a character. He's got that sort of brusque charm. He's pretty good looking. They smoothed out the romance that was in the book. It's definitely done much better in the show. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Reacher is your archetypical action hero. If you were to compare this to the books, most of the plot would be he walks into a bar, orders a burger and a coffee. Some guy goes up to him and goes, "Who are you? We don't lack your kind in here." And Reacher just tries to ignore him, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm talking to you." And then Reacher breaks his nose, and then you find out that guy, his brother's like a crime guy, and then they come after Reacher at his hotel room or motel room, and then they try to beat him up, and then he finds out they're trafficking women or something. That would be like the generic plot of a story. So this one's very similar. He shows up in this place and he gets accused of murder, and he's got to clear his name. He doesn't care. But this show makes sure to do a good job of an adaptation. Every episode has action. If there's no action from the book, they add an extra action sequence, but they don't make it shitty. They make it good. So there's action in every episode. There's 8 episodes, and you're sort of introduced to all these different characters. There's Finley. He's like a straight-laced Boston cop from the big city that the townspeople don't like. There's also the brave Officer Roscoe Conklin. She's like this beautiful but strong, independent woman. So the 3 of them become like a sort of investigative team to find out what's going on. And they discover a criminal conspiracy. There's lots of action. It's a throwback to those sort of 80s and 90s action films. One thing I didn't like, though, there's something that happens in the book. Reacher uses a specific weapon. They even reference it in the episode. And then he doesn't use the weapon. I was looking forward to that because I remember the plot of the first book. It's pretty brutal. It's basically about these killers that show up at your house wearing slickers and they nail you to the wall. So I was looking forward to that, and they didn't do that. But whatever. Either way, Alan Ritchson does a great job. He's huge. He looks like Reacher. Maybe a little bit too good looking because Reacher's supposed to be really ugly because he's like... That's one of the reasons I didn't like the first book. Lee Child wants to do like a James Bond sort of thing with Reacher, where he has relations with a woman in every book at least. I think he has relations with every woman in every book except for one book. So he wants to make Reacher this sort of ladies' man, but in reality he's like this 6'5", 250-pound gorilla with like a broken nose, and he looks ugly, and he's probably smelly because he doesn't shower because he's walking around all the time. And then of course the Roscoe jumps at him in the book. But at least in the show, they stall that for a little bit and let them get to know each other first. So that's something that they improve on. I think the second season is coming out soon, as it'll be based off the book Bad Luck and Trouble. And if they do a good job every season, you're going to have at least 5 or 6 really good seasons of action television. So Reacher's a great show, worth checking out. The books are okay too. I hope they do some of my favorites, but definitely a show worth checking out if you like good action shows.